Hello there.
Hello there, and welcome back to the Sky Guys podcast. We are back here, another off-season edition of the Sky Guys. Today, we are talking about a special fun topic here. We're going to do a Tales of the Blank character draft. Just characters we want to see show up in a future Tales show, season, whatever you want to call it. I'm your host, Mike Phillips. With me, as always, the man's voice of the generation, every single week. Pete Consadori is here. Pete, how are you?
Doing well. Very excited for this. It's Drafts are usually not my strong suit, as people would know if they listen to the podcast, but I'm excited to do this. Excited to hear what you guys think and if we come up with the same or different ideas.
Yep. Also here with us today, the draft master of this podcast, Nick Fraietta, is here. Nick, how are you?
Doing great. This is a fun topic. It's I think we're gonna get another season of this show. I guess you can call it a season or another show, whatever you want to say. So this is gonna be cool because we're gonna see if we get some. We're not really predicting here. We're kind of just saying what we want, but see if we get any that we want.
Yeah, at the end we'll make a prediction, but I think we're also going to throw our picks out and say, guys, if you want to have something that will have audience appeal, listen to us. We have ideas. All right, and if you want to subscribe to the Sky Guys and do so, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, TuneIn, Spotify, Amazon, all usual suspect. Simply search for the Sky Guys if you're at podcast platforms. You get all our episodes there, and we're about to wrap up our off-season stuff here. We got the Andor coverage, the preseason coverage starting soon, so make sure you subscribe. The road to Andor is starting soon. You don't want to be missing out on that.
Road to Andor is starting soon. As I say every week now, make sure you check out the new YouTube channel. We're going to be transferring over to that from the M. Phillips one, starting Andor season 2 exclusively. So make sure that you're there for the video version. You can get the podcast version, just audio everywhere else like you have been. But subscribing definitely gets you the content a lot quicker, helps us out, helps you guys out. And like Mike said, we're almost at Andor season 2. Preseason starting when it comes to that. So we're excited to start that. So make sure you check everything out and subscribe.
Yep, and I also mentioned here, Nick. You can check out the YouTube. We check out the YouTube version. Pete mentioned here. Plus, you can also follow us on social media. How can people do that?
At Sky Guys Podcast, pretty much everywhere on social media. And if you want to email us, it's at skyguyspod@gmail.com.
Yep. And speaking of that, we'll go to our social media comment of the week. It's from our chat last week in the Star Wars Podcast Day episode 2 weeks ago with me, Moby. Some great commentary on his pitch for Star Wars here. This comment is from Richter on TikTok. He says it's a four-part comment. It says, number one, the first thing they could do is make us older Legacy fans happy. Period. Han, Luke, and Leia centric stuff. Second, creating 15 new stories up with one sticking to the wall is a waste of time. Two, mail a success. Stick with it. Three, Ahsoka is great to connect everything. Give us the moments we want, like when she meets Luke and Leia with about 10 exclamation points. Three, act like cancellation was stupid, wrap it up somehow. Skeleton's off to a great start. Star Wars is never, all caps, this messy. So, a lot of thoughts here from Richter, Pete.
I agree with the messy part. I think you can still have a lot of the things that Star Wars had, excuse me. But the messy part I think resonates with me. I think it's just all over the place.
Nick, any thoughts on what Richter had to say about his ideas?
Um, don't really disagree with a lot of it. I agree with most of it. I did think it was really funny. I know this is not the social media comment of the week, but there was two comments on this same video on the Instagram version. Someone wrote, "I love your ideas on Ray," and then someone else wrote, "I hate your ideas on Ray." Pretty funny. So, but a shout out to me, Moby. We had a great time talking to him last week, and it was great to collaborate.
Yeah, fun to collaborate with him. Well, hopefully we can get back together again in the future with him. And I will say though, this does seem to my when I take away from Richter's commentary, and a lot of people feel the same way here, is that like I think Star Wars as a whole is very hurting from the fact that like we missed that window to tell more stories with Luke, Han, and Leia right after the end of Return of the Jedi here. I feel like they've been trying to make up for that and have not been successful in it.
It's a tough period because
George was making it.
obviously it's the actors, the age.
Yeah.
Carrie Fisher's no longer with us. Harrison Ford's 81, I think,
Yep. Mark
and
said 70s.
Mark Hamill's in his early 70s, I think. So it's not really possible unless you were to recast them. And we know the internet doesn't want that. We don't want that. Like no one wants that. So it's really hard to tell those stories unless you go to like another medium, which would be like animation or a video game or something, and then it's not the same.
Oh, yeah, Pete, the big issue is that like George decided, like I'm not going to tell that sequel story anymore. So like when he took the break and the actors aged out of the roles, I went back to this time period. It was just, too little too late.
I mean, they attempted it, right? They tried with the sequel trilogy. But I agree. It's very difficult. Don't know if we should continue to try. Um, and I just, yeah, just everything Nick said and you said as well, is just I agree with.
Yeah. All right, so let's get to our Star Wars news for the week. Nick, we have a little bit of stuff to cover.
Actually, Harrison Ford's 82, correction, but either way. News: Luke Skywalker is coming to Galaxy's Edge as part of the Season of the Force event, which is starting on March 28th, which will also include a nighttime projection show about the Skywalker saga. So pretty cool. I guess someone plays Luke similar to how they play the other characters.
Yeah, they probably have like some actor they hired for Disneyland who's gonna walk around with the cloak and the fake hand and hang out with R2D2 and like take pictures with you, basically.
And when you say Galaxy's Edge, is this both or only one of them?
We did not make it clear in the story. I would assume they're probably gonna do it in both.
Okay, cool, cool. But yeah, that's cool. March 28th, sneaking up on us.
Yep.
That's it's like right when baseball starts, right around there, right around the opening day for baseball.
Yep.
So good time of year to go down there,
Yep.
or I guess, or over there to California. It's nice to get out of the cold weather that's somehow still lurking in some areas of the country. It's a good idea to get down to Florida or California. So if you haven't booked your ticket yet, do.
Yep. All right. Anything else you got in the news department this week?
Yeah, sure. Sigourney Weaver, who is going to be in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, she said that her character is in a position of authority and she has to send the Mandalorian out on a mission to the Outer Rim where a lot of bad stuff happens. I feel like that I didn't like reading this. I feel like this was a little much. Kind of like just told us the plot of the movie.
I mean, this is not
Of
that.
course, there's no details, so it's not that big of a deal. But like sending us out on a mission where bad stuff happens in the Outer Rim, kind of like tells us what happens. Kind of. I don't like that. It
Kind of
shows
like,
us that he's back to being a bounty hunter. He's taking jobs again. He accepts the job, goes to the Outer Rim, and gets in trouble. Like I didn't want to know any of that.
I mean, to be fair, Pete, it's kind of like everything we've kind of been leaked about this movie already, whether it's the Rada stuff, whether it's the stuff about Sigourney Weaver's character, it all winds up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with Nick, even though we've heard a bunch of leaks and stuff for stuff to come out of the actress's mouth that's actually in the movie about what's going to happen. It's just kind of a buzzkill. Um, and if it's going to go down that route, I don't know if this movie's going to be any good. I got to be honest. I think one of our main gripes, or at least one of my main gripes with The Mandalorian, was that um, a lot of it was these just kind of bounty hunter odd jobs mixed in, almost like filler. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I think it's more in along the lines now of the like sort of at the end of season 3, you see Mando make the deal with Carson Tava, saying like, "Oh, like you want me to do some cleanup work for you? Just I'm off the books." So I guess now he's on the books.
Maybe.
All right, is that it for us in the news department, Nick?
That is it.
All right, so now we're gonna get into what we are covering here today, which is this draft of characters we want to see pop in the tail season. So, Nick, you want to refresh the audience, like who may not have watched these in a little bit, the Tales concept, like what Star Wars has done with it.
So it's essentially, or at least it seemed like when you haven't seen it, it seems like they wanted to do backstories on characters who haven't had them yet. That's what I thought it was going into the show. It ended up being a little bit different than that, but mostly similar. So in season one, we got backstory on Count Dooku,
Yes.
kind of his fall to the dark side, which was really cool. We also got some Ahsoka in the middle stuff, if you will. We got her birth, which we had never seen before. That was weird that it was the first episode. I know what they were going for with the chronological stuff, but I still think that didn't even line up. But either way, and then you get two episodes here of Ahsoka, one like during the Clone Wars and one after the Clone Wars in the time of like the rise of the Empire. So you're basically getting background on characters that we didn't have background on before. Now Ahsoka, I guess you could say we did have background on before, but just a little more information. And then when you move on to the second, I guess, season, I don't know if you call it a season. I consider it a season.
Yeah, I'd say it's the second season of the Tales franchise.
They just don't list them under the same show on Disney
Yep.
Plus. They're separate shows, but either way, the second one is around Morgan Elsbeth and Barris. What's her last name?
Offie.
Afi. So we get a little more information on them, mostly backstory, if I'm not mistaken, on both of them. Actually, well, not for Barris, but
Paris is a continuation,
Barris
basically.
is a continuation, and we get a little bit of backstory. So the long story short is you're going to get continuations of the story or a backstory of a character that didn't have that before. So just learn more about a character, really.
Yeah, Pete, my comparison for this is like, I know I like to go the Lost Well so often here, but like I think in between seasons, like, and there was a gap in the two airing sections of season three, they made these web episodes called Missing Pieces. They're like 2 to 3 minute like episode, like 3 minutes, like 6 minutes, basically of length of like short, like little moments of characters that were like equivalent to like deleted scenes, but like filled in the lore a little bit. Sort of the Star Wars version, except these are like me like 10 to 15 minute like shorts where it's like you don't need it, but it's like extra information to give you on characters that they want you to have.
100%. Yeah, if you're not, even if you're the casual fan, but if you're not the casual fan, you're looking for more information. I mean, these are the things, little bite-sized chunks of storyline that you can follow really easily, kind of go back and forth. You don't have to binge it. You could binge it if you want to. You can go back and forth with it. But you're right. It's just these like little, never seen Lost, but these little kind of like storylines that'll help tie things together or give you a little bit of an origin story without having to go deep into having a full-blown show.
Yeah, so they called them the missing pieces on Lost. That was what the branding was. This is sort of a similar idea. It's like, okay, like the Barazoffy thing, we're never going to tell it in a mainline show. So you want the answer? Here it is. Or like, we don't have time to tell you Morgan Elsbeth's backstory. Here it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Uh,
They're good. They're
Characters I'd
nice
like
little
to
things.
see. Sorry, Pete, go ahead.
No, I was just saying they're nice little there's little storylines. There's just something nice to watch.
And I was saying there's a lot of characters that I would like to see this for. There's a lot of characters that we haven't gotten really anything on, or some that we've gotten a little bit, but we can get more, whether it's before or after, or in some cases in the middle, like Ahsoka's was. There's a lot of characters I'd like to see that for, and that's why we're here today.
Yes. And we're going to do a 4 round draft. We're going to basically, this is not what we think Disney will do next with the Tales franchise. You know, Pete, you say pretty confident we're getting another one of these Tales at some point down the line.
I think so.
That's going to be to the end of the podcast. We're going to predict what the next Tale is going to be, but we're going to draft what we want to see happen here. So we're going to pick teams of 4 characters. We're going to pick the character. We're going to tell you like what we want to see. I think we should also say like for funsies, we can say like what the Tales theme is when we pick the character. So like for example, if we pick for some reason Chopper as our character for this thing, you could say Tales of the Droids would be the concept. As much as Pete would love that.
No.
Droid Tales, that was already supposed to be a thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just rebranded.
Yeah. Um, I'm excited for this draft. I want to make it clear to the audience right away. We'll be completely upfront and honest. The reason we're doing who we want, not who Disney will probably do, is because honestly, if I sit up here and tell you Maz Kanata, that's not a very fun episode to listen to on a podcast.
No,
It's not very fun. You don't want to hear me explain why Maz would be a good episode because it wouldn't be. So let's talk about what we want to see.
yeah, I think if we could, we're gonna try and put a little mojo into the universe here and put stuff in the universe. Maybe Disney, somebody listens to it, and say, "Oh, that's a good idea. We should do that."
Yes.
Yeah.
So in front of me, I have a random generator that I can generate the draft order here. If you
Okay.
guys trust that I will do it fairly, I'm sure you do, considering this draft is for nothing.
Yeah, we trust you. Go ahead.
So the order is Pete is going first,
Okay.
and I'm going second.
All right. So
Okay.
Pete, and it's a
And it's
snake
a snake
draft.
draft, so Mike, you'll be going third and fourth.
Yeah, Nick got the middle spot, so he's got to wait around for us to make our selections and do that here. So Pete, you have all, and I will also throw out here. I think the entire board should be open. So even the ones we did already. So if you want to see more Count Dooku or more Barris,
I agree.
do that
Anyone.
again. Anybody on the board. So Pete, who do you want first? Who is the first character you'd like to do a Tales season of?
This is a character that I think that should have been in live action that has not gotten the chance yet. Cal Kestis. I think we need a little bit more from him. I think it would be very interesting because I like their storylines. These storylines that we're getting in the Jedi series, of video games. I know there's a third one in the pipeline, so I'm sure we're going to get even more, but maybe something, maybe an Origin, maybe something in between Jedi Survivor and the third untitled one. I don't know if that might be wrong. It may be titled already. I'm not sure.
It's not.
Um, huh?
Yeah, not titled yet.
Not tiled, yeah. So the third untiled one, I think that'd be pretty cool to explore that because I think sooner rather than later we're probably going to get live action Cal Kestis, but I think this would be a nice little precursor to that.
Yeah, Nick, I love this idea because Cal Kestis is in canon. The games are in canon. This would be a good way if Disney and EA can work together here. Just put this out and say, okay, like here we're gonna tease the third game. We'll give you some Cal Kestis storyline. It's not gonna be in the video game.
I would love it. I would love to see it. I think it's the best way to get him elsewhere besides the video game. This might be a good stepping stone. If you want to get him in live action one day, or I mean, he was at Galaxy's Edge. No, he wasn't at Galaxy's Edge. The actor was there, right?
Yeah, yeah. Karen Monahan went.
Yeah, a little
His
bit
lightsaber's
different.
available.
Yeah,
So there is a
lightsaber
part
available.
of him there in theory.
Very cool. Could be a good stepping stone for him.
All right, so that's the first one on the board. Cal Kestis. Pete, what is the show for Cal Kestis? Is it another Tales of the Jedi?
Yeah. I don't know if you would say Jedi because the Jedi are technically no more at this point. Tales of the Force wielders or Force users, something along those lines. Maybe the Tales of the Survivors or something.
What's the name of his ship, Nick?
Oh God, I don't know.
That one's tough.
Maybe it's the Tales of like whatever the ship crew is.
The name of the ship is the Stinger Mantis. The Mantis.
Tales of the Mantis.
Tales of the Mantis.
Yeah, I mean you'd have to do everyone from the Cal Kestis crew.
I mean, you only have to do two at a time, so you just have to count somebody else.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
True.
All right, so Nick, you're up now. Pick two.
I'm gonna take Sheev Palpatine. I
Yeah,
think this is just what everyone wants to see.
yeah. The
And
pa-
obviously we're talking about the past for him, not the future. So what was Palpatine like in his younger days? How did he turn to the dark side? How was there I'm assuming Plagueis was involved and whatnot. I need to see this in a show. There's so much potential here. Um, Really, I think this is like the perfect one. Perfect Tales of.
yeah, I think there's definitely a lot of room in backstory for Palpatine, Pete. But I also throw out here, you can have a little in the middle here because we can address the somehow Palpatine returned, and you could set one after his death and before he returns in Rise of Skywalker. If you're trying to fix that movie, that might be a way to do it. Is say, oh, like let's see a little bit of like 10 minutes of like Palpatine struggling to like
Mhm.
reclaim his identity after he gets resurrected.
Yeah, I mean I think any of our ideas I'm gonna like because we pretty much share the same kind of love and hate for characters along the lines of these shows. But yeah, no, I think that'd be great. I think we can get a little bit more clarity. And I think there needs to be a lot of clarity between the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy in a lot of aspects. So I would be totally down for that.
Nick, what Tales show is this?
I think it has to be Sith. It couldn't really be Empire because it's prior to the Empire.
I think Tales of the Sith is probably the logical choice here. All right, so I'm up now for the first of two picks. We were just talking about the problem we had where we couldn't tell the stories of our beloved original trilogy characters because we hadn't couldn't get these timing right. Richter was talking about it on TikTok that he wanted to see this year. I think this is your answer here. I'm going to start out here. Luke Skywalker is the first pick here. You can do a lot of stuff with Luke. You can fill in some gaps in the movies. I know there's a little mysterious stuff with between 5 and 6 you can touch on a lot of stuff in the build up from when you last see him in Book of Boba Fett until he's a hermit on Octo in the sequel trilogy. I think there's definitely Luke material here you can mine for good stuff here, and like you can also have Mark Hamill voice the character then, and then get the audience more invested that way. So I will go with Luke Skywalker in a Tales of the Jedi series here. So another Tales of the Jedi season. So what do you guys think about that?
I think it sounds great. And Mark Hamill is no stranger to the voice acting, so that's definitely not a problem for him. Um, that's a great sounding I guess, Tales of the Jedi arc.
Yeah, Pete.
Agreed. I like that a lot.
Yeah, so I think Luke's a slam dunk here. That solves one of the problems we have in terms of this situation here. I will throw out another one here, and this one I think could be a fun way in the Tales of the Sith model to solve one of the problem. Another problem that Richter brought up is the how are we dealing with the acolyte storyline? Chimere should be, I think, should get one of these. I think it's a good way to get what the most beloved acolyte character, some resolution in his storyline. You could deal with the Plagueis stuff that way and get the answers parsed out there. Chimere, sort of, you can get how he was found by Plagueis. You can get some of his backstory. You can get the eventual like attempt that clearly at some point he's going to try and go against Plagueis and fail and he ends up getting killed for it. So you can wrap the Chimere story up. You're not going to go back into live action. So I'm going to go Tales of Chimere here and Tales of the Sith style, like Nick has suggested.
You stole mine.
All
It's gonna be my next one, but it's good. It's a good pick. Think I think Acolyte was unfortunately something that just didn't work, and it's a shame. I think there was a lot of character development with Chimera that we could have had, and we were not going to in the near future. So it's a good idea.
Nick, would you like to see the Chimere story concluded in kind of this way?
I would, less than the others that we have on the board so far. If I had to rank them, this would be last, but I do want to see it.
Yeah, I think they're still holding out hope here. I don't think this is one that Disney touches for a while. I think there are probably still discussions. I think they want to try and repurpose Chimere to something else and try and find a way to salvage the character. Because man, Jacinto has shown such a love for playing him. I think they want to do something live action with him, but I think this is a good fallback if they cannot figure that out.
I
All
think
right.
it's, I think it's a decent idea.
All right, so Nick, your next pick. You started off with Sheev in the Sith storyline. So,
So I actually have another one who would fall in the same show. It's a little bit off the path. It's not exactly what you would expect here, but I am going to go with the Grand Inquisitor. I guess originated from Rebels.
oh, the GI.
Yeah, we don't really get anything on this guy in terms of who he was, and I feel like that's a really, really, really big question mark, considering he is, you would think, one of the top Jedi during the fall of the Order.
Yeah, yeah,
And I would like to know more about that. Was he a council member? I don't think so. Was he, who was he?
yeah. I know we get the shot, Nick. I think I think they retcon that he's sort of like the Jedi counselor that like the council guard that like brings Ahsoka in during like her trial. That's I
Yeah, they've said that. I know, but we can do a lot more than that, right?
think we can. So, Pete, would you want to see more of this guy?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
I think it'd be cool.
very mysterious character too. The Jedi, the Grand Inquisitor, because
Yeah.
like
I mean that whole order, right? Just the Inquisitors in general is very intriguing. So I would 100% go for that.
Yeah, I'm also like open to the idea of instead of just being the Grand Inquisitor, just the Inquisitors in general.
Tales of the
I know
Inquisitor.
we're sticking to one character here, so I'm going to say the Grand Inquisitor in another. I guess it would be Tales of the Sith again, right?
You could do,
Possibly Tales of the Empire. I don't know.
you could do Tales of the Inquisitors.
Maybe I just feel like that the show would kind of stink.
I mean, like if you want if they're determined to solve to give you more Riva content, that also might be a way to do it.
That is true, but when I think of the Inquisitors, like they have all their names, like the Fourth Brother and this and that.
Yes.
It's not that I'm the reason. It's not because I'm not paying attention, but the Grand Inquisitor is the only one I memorized by name.
Yeah, because he literally stands above everybody else.
Yeah, and the other ones, like I don't remember who the fourth sister is. I don't remember. Like that's why none of them really stand out to me. They're just kind of pawns in his game, and then all of them, including him, are pawns in Vader's game,
Yeah.
and all of them, including Vader, are pawns in Palpatine's game. But I would like to see the Grand Inquisitor.
Yeah, it's funny too, because the fourth sister I actually do remember just a little bit because she was one of the ones who was the only other Inquisitor hanging out in the Inquisitor mansion during Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then like she gets resolved a little bit in the Tales of the Sith. She's the one dealing with Barriss a lot of the time.
I just remember there was like there were two of them in Fallen Order, but I don't remember what their names were.
Yeah, fourth sister I remember distinctly was a
Well, the
Kenobi.
second sister was in Fallen Order, and she's the one who fought Vader. But who was like the really big one, like monster looking one?
It's the ninth sister.
But you see what I'm saying? It's just too much going on here.
Yeah. And we have like a bunch of weird Inquisitors, Pete, who we never really got like much on, like Crow Mask guy. We got Maroc is in that group, so like there's a lot of weird stuff with the Inquisitors you could kind of dive into.
Yeah, I mean there's a lot of room. There's a lot of wiggle room. You can kind of make up whatever you want at that point. Because like Nick said, I'm not remembering who the third, the fourth, the fifth. It's too much. So I think that opens up a door to a lot of creative freedom, which could be cool. We could just learn more about even a new character we never even thought about thinking of.
All right, so Pete, you're up next here. Where you going with your next pick?
All right, so I'm gonna stick with the Tales of the Survivors series, and not Survivor like when you're on an island trapped. I'm gonna say Kanan Jarrus.
All right,
Feel like there's a lot there that we haven't gotten. There's a lot of backstory, and there's a lot you can do before his demise. And you could do Cal Kestis and Kanan Jarrus in the same series.
yeah, yeah, Survivors of Order 66.
Yeah, pretty much. Tales of the Survivors.
Yeah, Nick, if this is a Dave Filoni special, like I feel like Kanan is high on the list of characters he'd love to do something on.
Definitely, yeah. You know how I feel about him. He loves to take care of his babies.
Yes, and very rare that like Kanan is one of the few characters that has been killed by Filoni's group and actually stayed dead.
That's true.
Yeah. Because like everybody else has either been resurrected, Ahsoka's like been resurrected what, three times at this point?
Probably.
Yeah, so
Maybe a
Kanan's
little less.
on the board here. Pete, who are you doing with your next pick? You have
Well,
pick seven.
throwing it back to the Clone Wars and also Episode 3, General Grievous.
That's a fun.
Love to get more information about General Grievous pre-Clone Wars. How he got to that point, where did he get the lightsabers from? I feel like that would also be pretty cool. He just starts off with three or four lightsabers to begin with, and the Clone Wars and stuff like that. So I think that'd be a really cool storyline to pursue.
Yeah, you say what Tales of the Confederacy, you want to say?
Yeah, yeah, I would say that.
Yeah, Nick, or Tales of the Separatist, that would also be a good way to put it.
Yeah, I think Tales of the Separatists would be the best way to put it. I would love to see it. I want to know more about Grievous.
I would
Sounds
love
awesome.
I would love this idea, Pete, too. Like if we can take the Clone Wars '03 Grievous material and kind of like adapt it to to fit some of his backstory, how menacing he is when he first shows up in that show. That'd be a fun way to sort of bring some of that in.
Yeah, I agree. I think, like I said, I think anything about Grievous would be good. From the Separatist movement, maybe from the beginning of the Separatist movement. Yeah, I think it'd be cool.
And shout out to Max Rouser listening for the Clone Wars '03 love. All right, so next up here, I mean, Nick's on the board, sorry, with his third pick of the draft. So you have
Well,
already taken
that's right.
you're taking two dark side people here in Chief Palpatine and the Grand Inquisitor.
I will not be taking a dark side number with my third pick.
Okay.
I'll be taking Bo Katan,
Okay.
and really, I'd like to see her struggle to unite Mandalore across different eras.
So Tales of the Mandalorians.
I would say Tales of Mandalore, but yeah.
Yeah, so okay, it's interesting because like we got a lot of her in the different cartoons, but even still, there's still like missing pieces with Bo-Katan.
Yeah, we got Bo-Katan less than we think too. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
it seems like if you watch those shows, we think back like, oh, Bo-Katan, we saw her all the time in Rebels and Clone Wars, and we saw her all the time in Ahsoka and or not Ahsoka, right? And Mandalorian, and like it wasn't as much as you think.
yeah, Pete. I do feel like also that period between Clone Wars and Rebels, I think is worth mining. And maybe if you want to dive into sort of like the siege of Mandalore at the end, sort of like where like she makes the deal with Moff Gideon to give up the dark saber, like that would be like an interesting one you could like explore. We only heard her talk about that. You could actually see it.
100%. Look, I think everything that we discuss is a easy topic to say, yeah, we can learn more about it. I think the characters we're picking just across the board, there's so much lore and there's so much story that we don't know that we just kind of accept when we see them on the screen, whether it's animation or live action, that you can just dive so much deeper. So I agree. There's a lot more there, especially in that time period. And I say let's get it.
Yeah, so that's a fun one here. So a lot of options here on the board I'm excited about, and it makes it interesting for me with this pick here. I'm gonna go with a character we got already, but I want more. Give me Dooku again. Give me more Dooku. You Sith era Dooku, sort of seeing like sort of fill in more of the missing pieces after like he fully flips the dark side. Some of his playing with Palpatine, like how deeply he thinks he goes in this process up through the Clone Wars. You go back into he gets recruited by Palpatine as well. So I think another Dooku round, I think I'll be down for it. I think he's a very fun character we do not get nearly enough of.
I'm in.
Yeah, Pete, like how you feel about getting a second round of Dooku, let's say in a Tales of the Sith situation.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think we can get more of him within, Attack of the Clones era stuff too. I think there's a lot there. I think even the Separatist stuff, even with General Grievous, you could do it in that Separatist kind of thing. So, yeah, I mean, I would love to see more of it.
Yeah, I think it would be a lot of fun. I think also like a fun like storyline from the Clone Wars era you could look into, Nick, is like how he ends up recruiting Asajj Ventress to be his apprentice at some point.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot still to tell. Really, there's really almost every character there's a lot to tell. Like the main character in Star Wars, I think we all agree, Anakin, right?
Yeah.
Um, you could still even do this on Anakin. Between one and two, there's so much to tell. Not that I really want to see that with stuff between one and two, but there's a ton to tell there. There's a ton to tell. And Anakin, like how many stories have we seen in the Disney era between episode three and episode four?
A lot.
A lot. But guess what? We still don't really know what Anakin's up to. I mean, we know what he's up to. We haven't seen it.
Yeah, we got a lot. We got a bit of stuff with him there. I mean, there's a bunch of like comic book adventures they could like buy into if you wanted to go down that road.
My point being, like, anyone you can get a lot from.
Yeah, I suppose you have the right angle, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah. So last round. Here we go.
Round four, we could probably go for like another hour if we wanted to with so many characters you could.
I have like another eight or so that I could mention.
Yeah, we'll do one more round, then we'll do our honorable
Yeah.
mention after that. So
Sure.
I'm gonna close this out here with another great character that like we have not touched on yet. Like I think this is interesting in terms of, like sort of like the angle of like what happens with them. Like they're like they seem very like powerful. We don't get a lot on them, and then the lingering questions about their death. Give me Mace Windu in a Tales of the Jedi season. Like, I think you get Mace Windu backstory. If Samuel L. Jackson wants to say Mace Windu survived the attack from the Force lightning, you could talk about what he did afterwards and set up a return for him in live action at some point. So give me Mace Windu. I think you could have a lot of fun with this.
You got me. I'm in.
Same.
Yeah.
I'd want live action Mace Windu. That'd be pretty dope.
I
But
think I
I
think
think
you
the door's closing slowly on that.
I think you need to do this to get the story to the point where you get live action Mace Windu in like the Mando
I
time.
agree. No, I agree. I think it's a great segue.
Yeah. So I'm closed out right now. I still have more I can discuss, but Nick, your last pick.
This is not a joke. Tales of the Hondo.
I knew you were going there.
Tales of the Hondo. Tales of the Pirates, I guess you call it.
Yeah, Tales of
Um,
the Pirates.
I want more Hondo. I want to know either you have so many times you can mention Hondo. You can do pre-Clone Wars Hondo. We could do between Clone Wars and Rebels Hondo. We could do between Rebels and Skeleton Crew Hondo because not that he was in the show, but we know where he is. He was on that spaceport, right?
Yeah, he was there.
And you can get a between Skeleton Crew and whatever's going on at Galaxy's Edge Hondo.
Yeah.
So many. You basically have the entire Star Wars timeline to work with Hondo.
Yeah, and a lot of fans, a lot of diehard Clone Wars fans, Pete, love Hondo and have not gotten enough Hondo in their lives since those shows ended. So, like, this would be a fun way to give us the Hondo fix.
I agree, and especially because the pirate thing has gone so well for Star Wars, especially with Skeleton Crew, you could do something with like Jod as an animated thing. So you can kind of have, Jod and Hondo in it. But that would be pretty cool. I mean, I think we get bits and pieces of Hondo throughout Star Wars. Very, very small sample size. Let's make it larger.
Yeah, I think it'll be a fun one here. And Pete, last pick of the board.
So this is going to be a little off kilter, so I apologize.
Okay.
I consider this a character.
Okay.
Tales of the Dark Saber. Origins of the weapon. I think that'd be pretty cool. Now, the reason why I say this is because as I was flicking through Amazon Prime today, Rings of Power came on, and I went, I wonder if we could do like something that revolves around the dark saber, maybe different characters that we know or different characters that we learn about, but creating that piece of weaponry that is very unique, that is very sought after, that's very powerful to a lot of different characters that we know in Star Wars. That's why I consider it a character. So I'm gonna take that in the last pick.
Tales
Now,
of Mandalore. That would fall right in. It'd fit
Yeah,
perfect.
it could be its own show, Tales of the Dark Saber. Can you have
It
like,
can be, yeah.
because you could do literally a history of
right.
Dark Saber users. Because you could do like like the first, like who was the first Mandalorian Jedi who created this thing, Nick? Do you remember his name offhand?
One of the Vizslas, I don't know.
Yeah, it was one of the Vizsla. I think it was like maybe like Tar Vizsla or something like that.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's it's spelled Tarre. I'm not sure if it's pronounced Tar, but that is who it is. Yeah.
Tar Vizsla. You could do some Pre Vizsla. You could do Maul. You could do Sabine. You could do Bo-Katan.
Mando,
And
Moff
They didn't
Gideon,
throw in the guy with the spikes on his head because he's so heavily involved with it.
Tar
Or
Saxon.
Saxton, yeah,
Saxon.
you could throw him in there. Like I know it's not the same as an actual um like wielder, but he definitely belongs there.
Yeah, I think definitely this is a very fun content. I think that's literally just the show will be Tales of the Darksaber.
I think it could
Do
be a
it.
great show. I think you can even do a whole like you said a whole show around just the dark saber. I think it'd be great.
Yeah, it's a fun like hack on the format. It lets you get like a bunch of characters in there as well without having to like shoehorn into one specific theme.
Listen, Disney, if you need content,
Call us.
come to the Sky Guys. We don't
Yeah.
charge a lot. We're very, we're still starting up here, so
So I'm gonna throw out some honorable mentions I have. If I miss anyone, Mike, you can go
Yeah,
ahead and add to the list.
yeah, before we do that, let's just give everybody the full list so that people have
Sure.
that. So the full list here, Pete's group of characters is Cal Kestis, Kanan Jarrus, General Grievous, and the Darksaber. Nick took Sheev Palpatine, the Grand Inquisitor, Bo-Katan, and Hondo. I took Luke Skywalker, Kymir, Dooku, and Mace Windu. So those are our picks for who we wanted to see, who made the top 12. But go honorable mentions here. Nick, you said you had a bunch of people you
I'm
wanted.
gonna bust. I'm just gonna fire them off. We're not gonna discuss them. Like
Yep.
Darth Plagueis,
Yep.
Jedi Cypher Dyas,
Yeah.
and the involvement with the Clone War, the Clone Army. Kylo Ren and the Knights of Ren as a whole.
Yep.
Jango Fett, Darth Bane, Cad Bane, Agent Callus, maybe as either before or an after. I'm not really sure where you want to do with that.
Yep.
Ventress after her return.
Ventress is a good one.
Director Krennic, probably I guess before he can't do after he dies.
Well, I mean, the word crank for me is like you might get him in Andor, getting somebody
Yeah,
else.
it's true. And then two more was Snoke.
Yep.
I'm actually kind of surprised he wasn't picked. And the last one is a little difficult now, but not really. The one that I actually think I should have picked with my last pick, but instead I chose Hondo, and I think it's Balin Skull.
Yeah, Balin, like we talked about when we did the Tales of the Jedi draft, we thought it was Jedi, so
Yeah, Balin is a fantastic choice if we can get that. I don't think we're gonna get that, but that would be a phenomenal choice if they were to do something like that.
well, I mean, now we do have Rory McCann now in the
Yeah,
role.
we can do it. I mean, and anything. He actually, I don't know what he looks like now, but at least from what I've seen in Game of Thrones, which by the way, Game of Thrones ended 6 years ago, Pete. How old does that make you feel?
I mean, not that old. I only binged it like 2 years ago, so
Okay, fair.
but
But
but I do remember the
years
hype of
ago,
it
and I know what
being
he looked
well.
like then. I don't know what he looks like now in terms of his age and whatnot, but at least back then he looked like a younger version of Ray Stevenson. I mean, not that they look so similar, but he definitely looked younger.
So I've seen pictures, and he's a pretty close second. Like I feel like it would work very nicely for Balin Skull. It'd be different. I'm not gonna say it's not, but I think he would play the part with a lot of respect. I think it'd be good.
Pete, any honorable mentions you had that
Yeah,
you
I mean, Nick hit like four of them, but one I was really interested in that was a close honorable mention for me was Dr. Hemlock in Project Necromancer. I feel like there was a lot there that we were just like kind of waiting for in Bad Batch that never happened, and I feel like you can run wild with that.
All right, so I'll throw out some of the ones I had on my short list that did not get taken here. So, Leia on the original trilogy characters could be a good way to sort of show some of what she was up to in the New Republic once like that gets going here. Yoda, obvious. Qui-Gon Jinn will be fun. Kylo Ren, we talked about it like last week in the abandoned storylines, a good way to go back in here. Poe Dameron, another one in the sequel trilogy, you can have some fun with, and I'll throw out like Ezra and Thrawn too, like sort of like what they were up to when they were on Paradia for 10 years.
I mean, I'll throw another one out, Captain Phasma,
Yeah, Captain Phasma is like the sequel trilogy Boba Fett. The cool
right?
armor, no story.
Right.
All right, so I think we can wrap this up here with the fun sort of. We're gonna make a bold call here. Nick, you would think, like I said, we said it before, you think it's safe to assume that we get the celebration in April that Dave Filoni will say, "Here's the next Tales season. It's coming probably at the end of this year, early next year."
Yeah, I do.
All right, so Nick, since you picked second, you can go first here. What do you feel like is the new Tales show going to be?
I'm not sure if you want to separate these or whatever, but I think it's either going to be Tales of the Dark Side or Tales of the Sith. Like whatever, however you want to spin it. One of the, I guess you just write Tales of the Sith.
All right, so Nick says Tales of the Sith. Do you want to take a wild guess at what characters we're covering with that?
Palpatine.
Okay.
And honestly, another one we didn't mention. I mean, I mentioned him on the honorable mentions there, but Plagueis.
Palpatine and Plagueis.
You introduced him in Acolyte. I'm assuming if we had that season two, we were going to get more of Plagueis, right? It seems like we would have, right?
Yeah.
So this might be a way to be like, hey, we didn't get a chance to talk about him more. Now's our chance.
Yeah. I think we're going to do something in the like my pick is I think we're gonna get something in this New Republic era to sort of tee up the Mandoverse connected movie or an Ahsoka season. So I'm gonna say Tales of the New Republic is my prediction here. I think we are gonna get a Leia thing to hook the audience in. And I'm gonna say Harrison Duel is the second one.
After the fact, like Hera.
Yeah. I think I said, I think you're going to get workings of what's going on in this. I think they will use this as a way to sort of give pieces of the storyline that you need for the Mando movie without having it in an actual show.
We talk about how good it would be if it was Plagueis and Palpatine and the Sith, and they did one connected story where it started with Plagueis, and then in the third episode he like finds a young Palpatine, and then we take it from Palpatine's point of view for the next three episodes. How cool that would be!
That would be dope.
It would be something else, huh?
Yeah, Pete, what's your prediction?
I'm gonna say Tales of the First Order. Get some Kylo Ren backstory, get some Captain Phasma, Snoke. I feel like there's a lot there, and I feel like they're not gonna give up that generation of Star Wars yet. I mean, their theme park is based upon that era of Star Wars, so I'm just gonna throw it out there and say First Order.
Yeah, I put you down for Kylo Ren and Snoke as your two character picks.
That's fine. Works
All
for me.
right. All right, so that's our picks on the board here. Fun episode for sure. Next week, scheduled, Nick. Why did the Galactic Star Cruiser fail? We've been joking with the Galactic Star Cruiser for two plus years now. We're going to attempt to explain with the help of a YouTube video and a special guest why this thing did
Yeah.
not play.
Listen, we're gonna do the episode anyway because it's gonna be great content. But I can tell you in one sentence, Too
Probably one
expensive.
word.
One
Money.
word.
Money. But we're gonna
Money.
dive into a lot more detail.
Yeah. I'll also put out here as a caveat here that it's on the calendar as a record date, but we are very nimble here that if this Andor trailer ever drops and it comes before us, we're going to fast track the Andor trailer episode that'll come out before this. So pencil in Galactic Star Cruiser. If the Andor trailer comes, you'll get that first, and then you will see the the Galactic Star Cruiser after that.
That's right. Ready for that Andor trailer. We got Andor and The Last of Us starting in the same month.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Hard, hard to believe we don't have it yet, Pete. It seems like we're getting late in the game here.
It might be. I mean, a Star Wars Celebration prior to Andor, is it enough time or
Like
no?
2 days before.
No, so then no, it wouldn't work. So yeah, I mean, it's gonna be there. Make sure you're subscribed so you can get that content quick. You can hear our opinions about it and see if it's overhyped or not hyped enough. So yeah, we're patiently waiting.
Yeah. My hunch is that that this trailer drops the week of the 2/17. President's Day week, I think we're getting that trailer.
Might be. Might. I thought maybe it may have would have dropped in the Super Bowl. That was kind of like I was kind of like waiting to see if it would happen. But it didn't.
I don't think Disney wanted to pay the money for a show that's ending.
Right, but I mean, Andor was the only show they tried on national channels. So I feel like if they were going to do it for any show, it would be that show.
Well, I mean, they did air Miss Marvel on ABC over the summer to get ready.
Well, I'm talking. Sorry, let me rephrase. The only Star Wars show they tried on national channels. Am I correct on that? There was no other show, like they didn't try with the Acolyte or anything like that.
I
Yeah,
think did they try Mando at all, Nick? I think they might have dropped the pilot at some point.
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Sounds like they might have. It sounds like they did, but I really don't remember.
Well, anyway, so I'll rephrase the rephrasing. One of the Star Wars shows, that Star Wars show was on national channel, so I was thinking maybe Super Bowl. But you're right, it's expensive ad space.
Yeah. I'm trying to see here, look it up real quick, see if they released it on. So I thought we discussed at one point they dropped maybe the first 2 episodes on ABC at some point. Oh yeah, they did. They did. I did look it up. Found it here. They aired chapter 1 on Disney's linear networks, ABC, Freeform, and FX on February 24th, 2023. Anticipation of season 3.
I'm excited.
Oh, yeah.
I think we're gonna get that trailer by the end of the month.
Yeah, I think for sure. So we keep an eye on that. Well, thank you guys for coming on once again. Pete want to subscribe to you on social media. How can I do that?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter, at Consy29, CONSY29, AP Tower 308. Create the background I'm using here on Reddit, so make sure you check them out.
Nick, one more time. People want to follow on social media. How can they do that?
At Sky Guys Podcast on pretty much everywhere, and email us at skyguyspod@gmail.com.
Yeah, because of follow me on social media, mphillips331. It's MPHILIPS331. This is going on the Just and the Suffering podcast. We are getting you ready for the second half of the NBA season. So NBA talk here, and Nick, your Lakers made the big trade of the year.
Yeah, they did. I'm not sure how, but they did.
Yeah, it's literally they just literally have people just drop superstars in their laps.
Kevin Durant at 34 years old got 12 first-round picks. Luka Doncic at 25 got one.
Yeah,
It'll be that one.
and Anthony Davis, who got hurt like 2 games in his Dallas career.
Yeah, I mean Davis is still very good. I think underrated, but still, come on.
Yeah, that's a come on. We'll be back next week. Probably talk about the Star Cruiser, maybe the Andor trailer. We'll have an episode in your feed for sure. But until then, may the Force be with you.